This week in games, Hitman Dev's 007 game will be revealed soon. Persona 4 voice actors teasing a remake, and Xbox has shelved its handheld. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 253. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
My day. My day to live. My day to see. It's yours too.
Sure. Yeah. How are you going to seize the day?
By playing video games after this.
Oh,
and going out and getting some mug root beer, the last of which you drank. And get some...
You know the best part about that?
What's that?
I don't even think I finished that last game.
Yeah, I know.
I might have.
I figured you...
I might have, but who knows?
Those who live a decadent lifestyle also usually tend to take advantage of... You can't even say that's not true.
You would allow me to take advantage of you?
Jesus, no. I was going to turn it around back on you, saying, don't worry, Tavin. That's like for elitists in our society.
You turn it around back and back it up on me all the time.
Introduce the rest of the show. As a matter of fact, whatever. Introduce the show. Yeah, keep going. Words
this
coming. Yes.
is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Now, every story that we read on this podcast is available for you to read over at TwoPennyGamesNews.substack.com because it is written by our very own Connor Elliott. Isn't that right, Connor?
Yes, it is indeed, good sir.
Everyone?
Every single one.
Every week?
Every single week, and except when it's not.
I would hope. I mean, surely that's not very often because you have a whole 7 days. Mm-hmm. You are currently unemployed.
Yes.
Surely you have plenty of time to be able to keep up with the latest and greatest news and write a simple... I mean, you don't even do the full 750 words all the time, right? So, like, surely you can just crank out a couple hundred words and produce some easy to read material for us over at TwoPennyGamesNews.substack.com. Link in the description down below. Surely that can happen.
Well, first thing, Tavin.
Right.
750 words, you get the information out there. When that happens, you did your job right. Second of all, no, not this week. But, with all the pitfalls that can happen with this show.
You didn't do it this week?
No, I did not.
Well, why not? Did you not have time?
Procrastinate, offset things, that's how it goes. I'm not exactly the most on the job of doing the stories all the time as the week progresses. And this is where it really bit me in the ass, especially when Elden Ring Night Rain came out. Now, a lot of these things, when we do this show, can go awry.
Right.
We can forget to write stories or write them, but somehow the stories don't really matter in the context of the show because dialogue sometimes just poofs in the air. And sometimes, errors happen. And so we have to work with it as we go.
Okay. So you were busy yesterday?
Yes. Actually, yes.
Yeah? You were?
I was, yeah.
Doing...
Yeah. Things besides Elden Ring Night Rain.
Yeah?
Which is with what we do.
Well, that's crazy, Connor. I went to work all day yesterday.
You did, yes.
And when I left, you were sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Which, funny enough, I had stayed up late the night before, so, some balancing issues when you put those into play.
So you were catching up on sleep because you were too busy
partying.
Working. The
night before.
Right. So, and then on Sunday...
I played Elden Ring Night Rain.
Oh, interesting. Yes. Which you absolutely had to do because I've got you on a strict, hard deadline to get reviews out, right? You just have to play that away, right?
When you're in a new game and it's the new game that's all the rage right now.
Right.
300,000 players.
Sure.
You need to, as a person who does this, know what that's like in the moment, not after the moment's passed.
So anyways, we're pulling from the internet this week. That was a I had something to say, but I just decided to drop the bit.
Because you're a pussy. I get it.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Not going to say it still? Come on, Tavin. I can take it. Come on. Say it. Come on.
I mean, one of us is going to make money off of this eventually.
Yeah.
One of us is putting in the hours, the hard work, spending the free time, the limited free time doing what he has to do, get it going, right?
Yes, you're right.
Right.
Those compliments. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Tavin.
Connor, let's move on to our first topic of the day.
Tavin.
We didn't discuss whose pennies we were at, did we? No, we didn't.
We didn't. But we have some spare change laying around.
Get to that at the end. That'll be the end.
Is that what we do at the end? This is not a usual thing we do all the time.
It's at the end. It's at the end. We're bringing back the spare. I think we've only done like one spare.
Yeah, no,
it's like we're bringing back the spare change segment. We should be better about that. We should be better. Anyways, first topic of the day. My first penny of the day. James Bond game from Hitman Dev has a new title. 007 First Light. Official reveal this week. This is from Rebecca Valentine over at IGN. It's worth noting. I didn't check this at camera angle. Fine. It's worth noting. There's some TBD news this week. A lot of TBD news, because
like 2.
Summer Games Fest kicks off on Friday, and then something else happens like 2 days later. I don't remember what, but there's just a lot going on. All right. I think the Witcher 4 is getting, that's a spare change that we could have talked about. The Witcher 4 is getting a tech debut or something happening with Unreal Engine 5. They say, I don't know. Things are happening in the industry. A lot of it is let's wait until the news is out. But for the actual news that we do have, finally, more
than, I think it was what was meant to be said.
Probably more than is probably what's meant to be there. Finally, more than 5 years after its first announcement, we're about to get our first real look at IO Interactive's new James Bond game, initially teased as Project 007.
That stopped the recording? You never know.
The official title is 007 First Light, and it's set to be for a reveal sometime this next week. In a post to Twitter/X today, developer IO Interactive showed a still image of presumably James Bond in silhouette lit faintly by a single beam of light, with text reading First Light 007 and game reveal this week. It included a hashtag, hashtag earn the number, likely a reference to the fact that the project is an origin story centered around Bond earning his 007 number. The post didn't include any further details, but it seems likely we'll see this game at one of the showcases planned for the coming week as a part of Summer Game Fest, Summer of Gaming, or one of the other gaming events typical for the first week of June. 007 First Light was first revealed back in 2020 as Project 007, and since then we've learned very, very little about it. We know it's a James Bond origin story and is wholly original piece of work rather than retreading the events of any particular film. More recently, IO Interactive CEO Hakan Abrak said he hopes this will be the start of a new trilogy of games, though unfortunately the studio's beloved Hitman franchise is on hiatus while IO Interactive works on this game. We also learned just this past April that in addition to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, it's getting a Nintendo Switch 2 release. Connor, 007 First Light coming soon. A reveal, full reveal. They've got a silhouetted picture of what their James Bond is. They've blacked out the face. We don't know who it is. I imagine this is going to be an actor of some prevalence, at least within the video game world. Who could it be? Could it be a Rahul Kohli? Could it be a Ben Starr? Could it be a Nolan North? Probably not.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, you say? Oh,
gamers like him, though.
Do they?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever. No, I can say whatever.
I mean, ideally, we'd be getting a pop, out of the reveal and be like, oh shit, it's, like a Cyberpunk 2077 Keanu Reeves coming out on stage pop. Ideally would happen here, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I don't know who to think. Besides, the ones you said.
Me neither.
It's just
I got a very short list.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. It's
it's not going to be an American. I can tell you that much. Not going to be an American.
It could break new ground.
They shouldn't.
Daniel Craig is British, so
yeah.
Have the actors always been British? No? Okay.
Most of them have. I think the only one who hasn't been British is Sean Connery.
Oh, he's Scottish.
Yeah, he's Scottish.
Yeah. Shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember when they did that reveal trailer. It was nice. It had the nice music. the 007 music. But, we just came off the back of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the last big game adaptation of a big brand film franchise. And that one did really well. So
Sure. Yeah.
who's to say this one doesn't do good too, right?
I mean, IO Interactive, known for their Hitman games. The last 3 Hitman games have been critically acclaimed and upheld as some of the best stealth sim games of all time. I'm very excited to finally get my hands on one of them at some point, whenever I have the time to
Sim game? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like a stealth sim game.
Oh,
they're a little more like in depth than say like a Metal Gear or even like a Splinter Cell or Thief. Like they're ones in which not like sim in like in terms of like simulating reality, but like you replay the levels a bunch. You simulate different outcomes based on action type.
Yeah,
thing.
I see.
Anyway, so yeah, Hitman 3, later redubbed Hitman World of Assassination, was a big hit. James Bond totally made sense to go with this studio. That's a studio that you go, 100%. 007 from the Hitman guys, that 100% makes sense. What do you think of the name?
Does nothing.
A little generic, right?
It's not in the Golden Circle or
the Great Circle.
The Great Circle.
Right. Golden Circle would have been better.
Yeah.
Great Circle. Yeah, that was pretty. That's a lame name.
Yeah.
This I think is just a little boring.
It doesn't stick in your mind.
Yeah. I like the hashtag though way more. Earn the number. Okay. All right. That works for me.
And it could have done like Sky. They just call it Skyfall. It doesn't have to be based off Skyfall, but that's a cool name. Just do that.
What?
The movie Skyfall. Like the movie's named
absolutely
Skyfall.
do not call it Skyfall. Why would you do that?
Because it's a better name.
But that's a branding issue immediately.
Yeah.
You know? But 007 known for some good names. The franchise known for some good names. I don't really think this one really does it. I mean, Golden what is it? Golden Gun is Goldfinger. Goldfinger is one of them. Goldfinger. No Time to Die, Skyfall, like you said, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. Cool name. Don't know what it means. Spectre, not so much. But there's a bunch of other ones. Diamonds Are Forever.
Mm-hmm. Octopussy.
There's one sitting on the tip of my tongue. It sounds like No Time to Die, but it's not. Oh, Die Another Day. That's what it is. A bunch of great names. A bunch of great names for 007. This one is just...
It's not going to go in that...
I mean, it's not bad. When you say 007 First Light, like, someone's going to remember... Like, we're going to remember that, not like the Great Circle.
Yeah, not so much.
Was the circle great? I don't know. I didn't play the game.
It was a pretty great circle.
It was a pretty great circle?
Circle, yeah.
Okay, great. What was the circle?
I'm not going to tell you.
Was it a ring? Was it
It's a circle.
Was it a hula hoop? Was it a...
Oh, it's all about what you find thanks to the Great Circle.
It's an ethereal circle? Like it's
like points on a map more so than like...
They're triangulating. With
Kinda.
the use of the Great Circle, they are triangulating.
I don't necessarily remember how they exactly used that to find the big thing, but they find it using the big circle.
With the Great Circle, they use triangles to find what they need. All right,
I don't think they use the triangle. You use that word. I never said that, but maybe they did use some triangulation.
Why doesn't Ellie know how to triangulate things?
Why would she?
Because not an idiot.
Did she know that in the game?
I mean, we don't they don't say either way, but in season 1, she's able to decode messages between Bill and Joel just by listening to it for a little while.
Not the same thing.
No, but it shows a level of intelligence that you would be able to understand what the process of triangulation is.
Kind of a reach.
I don't
saying
think
that
so.
way you say like you can know almost anything.
Connor, do you know how triangulation works?
No, I know it's like the way of finding things. I have no clue how the fuck that factors into the actual act. How the hell should I know?
Because you're given information that makes you go, okay, so it's not here, it's not here, and it's not in here. So now we're in here somewhere. That's
you
how
didn't
that
draw
works.
a triangle just then. Draw like a rhombus. A rhombus.
No, that's more like bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, you kind of did that with a different
angle. With
like,
one less angle, Connor. I did it with one less angle.
No, I don't know about that. Maybe one less angle, maybe not.
Did you graduate school?
My worst subject was math across all spheres. College, Middle school,
Right,
high school.
simple shapes. Too hard for you.
Well,
too hard.
I think you just didn't know what you were drawing.
No, I did one of these and one of these and one of these.
Yeah, and it's never so simple. It's never so simple as triangulating someone is never so simple as just you do triangle here and then you know exactly where to go from there.
Bad example. Hold on. I drew a 4. I drew a 4 because my line was too long. Hold on.
Well, while he's saying that to get home the point of what triangulation means, a process he doesn't even know himself. He's just kind of theorizing what it means. Yeah, I get what the difference is. I'm saying what you drew
Triangle?
is the other thing.
Rhombus.
Yes, there's a difference.
Rhombus.
I'm saying what you did was more like a rhombus than an actual triangle.
I didn't do one of these and then these and then these and then these. I just
You definitely didn't do this.
I went bop bop bop.
You definitely didn't do that either.
You just drew a rectangle.
I did because I messed up and I was like, oh.
Scribble out your imaginary. don't pay attention to this.
Either way, the cool thing about this, because you mentioned they're the Hitman developer.
Yeah.
Also the Kane and Lynch developer. Don't forget that.
Yippee.
Yeah. Hey, they had some. I don't even know.
I think people liked the first one, maybe a little bit.
They did. Yeah. It was the second one was apparently awful.
Yeah.
But them making this game. When I think of past 007 games, I don't think of like a Splinter Cell. I think of a first-person shooter that has some light stealth mechanics.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's more of a first-person shooter.
Sometimes. Not all the time.
I just can't think of any.
Nightfire.
See, you immediately you're more familiar with the catalog of 007 games than I am.
I mean, like GoldenEye is more like a traditional like first-person shooter with some stealth elements. Nightfire, I remember being pretty stealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, you're still getting into shootouts and stuff, and like high-speed chases,
which this one will do, no doubt.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, because even in Hitman 3, the final level of that was like on a train, and people kind of criticized that one for not being a great Hitman level, but they were always like, they all were like, this is like them saying, hey, we can do a 007 level though. So yeah, I have full faith in IO to be able to pull this off, and them calling their shot this early, and the way they've been presenting and just the way they present themselves says they're confident. To me, is what this says. So yeah, they're saying, hey, keep an eye out. We're about to do something big. You're gonna want to be a part of this.
Right.
So I'm in. I mean, you had me on the pitch, and so now I get to see what's happening, and I'm excited to see it. Will I play it? I like to think so. But, you never know. This is one of those of, like, I have every intention to play it, but I may not,
A lot of what will determine whether this game is good
or
bad
right.
is will it keep in the sexism? I think if you do, you'll make a true 007 experience.
Why did we have to go there?
Because 007's a sexist.
I mean...
Even in the new ones, he is.
Yeah.
They never changed that.
Yeah, he's pretty... I mean, not so much a sexist, more of, like, just kind of a misogynist.
The difference. Sexist seems like you can be more broad.
Sexist means sexist means that like you think women are lesser than because they're women. Misogynist means you treat women poorly.
Oh, no, I feel like those are kind of
usually if you have one foot in one, you have your other foot in the other. Usually
you're not only going to eat half a popsicle,
but I mean,
go all the way.
But I mean, Daniel Craig's Bond and Pierce Brosnan's Bond, their M, which is their boss, was Judi Dench. So a sexist isn't taking orders from a woman, a misogynist will.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, all the women that he's involved with along the way.
He's going to treat worse.
He's going to treat very bad. He's not going to be very nice to them, That was a weird...
A weird pivot? We're talking about 007. We're not talking about fairy tales and whatever conceived idea you have of who James Bond is as a character.
Moving on to topic number 2.
Is
this the right one? Is this the right topic, Connor? I need you.
No, but it can be.
Is it this one? No, just tell me what.
Persona.
Persona. Oh, Persona. Persona.
You can take this one.
Oh, I get both the fun ones. Yay! I like the fun ones, ladies and gentlemen.
Sounded like a. Oh, wow.
Persona 4 actor seemingly confirms remake by saying Atlas doesn't want to hire him for it. This is from VGC, written by Jordan Midler. Persona 4 actor Yuri Lowenthal has seemingly confirmed the game's long-rumored remake by saying Atlas isn't casting him for it. Lowenthal, who played Yosuke Yosuke.
You played this fucking game.
Listen, but then they immediately, the next game, they had the other guy. Yusuke is the same fucking name with like a slight difference to it.
Yeah, and despite that fact, I know both of them.
It'd be like if one was named James and the other was named Jones.
One of those is a fake name.
Yeah.
So you're demeaning the Japanese language.
No, it's the best I got to like pull out of my ass. What is it? It's like if one was named Tavin and one was
Bob
named
and Bill.
No, that's not enough. It's like if one was named Tavin and one was named Gavin.
That's more sense.
You know? It'd be like, and then you played that game and you didn't speak the language and you go, what the fuck? What kind of names are these?
Sounds like you need to get up.
I love Yosuke so much more than Yusuke, too. Yusuke kind of sucks. Yosuke Hanamura is, in the original game, responded to fan questions about Lowenthal responded to fan questions about whether or not he'd appear in a remake as Yosuke Hanamura by saying he wouldn't because, according to him, he's already asked Atlas about the remake and has been told he hasn't been cast in it. In a post on Blue Sky, Lowenthal wrote, quote, "And for those who keep asking, no, I will not be returning as Yosuke for the Persona 4 remake. I asked, maybe I even begged, but they don't want me to come back. Neither Sega nor Atlas have announced a remake of Persona 4, but reports have persisted for some time that one is currently in development. The last Atlas remake, Persona 3 Reload, was released in 2024, where it was met with critical and fan acclaim. Yuri Lowenthal is a veteran voice actor, perhaps best known in video game circles as the voice of Peter Parker in Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Man series. Persona 4 was released in 2008 on the PlayStation 2 and remains the third best video game of all time, making it one of the final significant releases for the system. The game eventually came to PS3 as a PS2 classic in 2014, but a native PS3 version was never released due to Atlas focusing its resources on Persona 5. A special edition re-release of the game called Persona 4 Golden was released on PlayStation Vita in 2012. This new version, which included new content and 2 new social links, was very well received when it was released and remains one of the Vita's best reviewed and best-selling titles. It's also just the Vita's best title.
Uncharted Golden Abyss?
Nope.
No, well.
It's an okay game. That Uncharted Golden Abyss, it's okay.
Severed?
Better
argument, huh?
Better argument.
So calm?
There's a SOCOM game
There
on
had
Vita?
to have been, right?
I don't know. Was there? I don't fucking know. Okay. It's also worth noting the actress for Chie and
Rize.
No.
No?
The red one. What is her
Yukiko?
name? Yukiko.
I've never played this fucking game.
Listen, I want it on the record. I know you said it right before I did, but I thought of it as you said it. It was me who spawned the memory, not you, okay? Not you. You fucking worthless sack of shit.
You know you're losing on this. I know the names
you
more.
played Metal Gear Solid 4 so fucking low.
I did.
Hey, we got a review for Metal Gear Solid 4 up on the YouTube channel. It's not going to be attached to this. It's too long. Anyways, we talked for an hour and 40 minutes about fucking Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. Please go watch that video. What was I saying? Persona 4.
By other actors.
Chie and Yukiko voice actors also not returning to the project. To which I go, guys, this is nothing to be excited about. Video game actors don't know anything unless they're directly involved with the project. It's not that they know that it's happening. It's just they know they're not currently voicing it. That's all they know, right? But then someone pointed out the actors have been saying this in the order that you get their characters in the game to join your party. And I went, that's interesting.
You think it's marketing?
I think it's marketing. It might be a little bit of marketing. We might see the reveal of a Persona 4 remake, Connor, as early as this next week.
Games Fest. Summer Games Fest.
Summer Games Fest. Opening night live. Kicking it off. It's right there. Friday. Jeff Keighley, you got some Persona on your stage. But then I also thought, Connor, you know who publishes Persona games?
You're
there. Atlas. Say it with your chest. Come on. Atlas. Yes, you're right. You know who Atlas has been improving their relationship with over the last couple of years?
Square Enix.
Nope. Try a console manufacturer.
Microsoft.
Yes. Xbox. You know what's coming up soon? A Microsoft Xbox showcase.
When's that happening?
The 17th, I think. Google it. The Xbox showcase is happening quite soon. Do we see Persona 4 Remake at Xbox showcase? I think there is a non-zero chance that happens.
Wow, very dedicated statement right there. Non-zero chance.
If I were
There's
to
a
bet,
non-zero
if I
chance
were
we
to
get hit by
bet,
an asteroid tomorrow.
if I were to bet money, I would say no. We're not getting an announcement for this game for probably another year. But there's a chance we get it within the next couple of weeks.
This Sunday.
This Sunday. Oh, wow, look at that. I'm not going to be too busy to fucking react to that. Cool. Great times. Can't wait to not see that live. Fantastic. Anyways, Persona 4.
I don't think you care.
Huh?
I don't think you care.
Why?
I think you...
Last year's Xbox Showcase was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
It was phenomenal.
Well, was it fantastic?
Yes, it was one of the best showcases ever.
There's so many of them.
They're really good at making... Xbox really good at making showcases, not so good at making video games.
So it goes.
I want to see more Perfect Dark. I'm really excited to see more Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah. Persona 4 Remake happening? Yes or no?
Oh, it's definitely happening. Really, the question is this an indication that they aren't coming back? Because what you said does make sense. Or is it an indication that they're just playing some little marketing campaign to hype it up? Because
this is a weird marketing campaign.
It'd be if it is, yeah. Because here's the thing, though: the Japanese voice acting industry is not the same as not even I would say U.S. voice acting industry. I guess I'm not confident enough saying about UK. I'm assuming there's some differences, right? There's a split between how the things work.
Different like agencies that you would sign up for and get jobs from.
Yeah,
but
maybe West is more broad. And I've done this before, where I compare Western game aspects of Western game development to Japanese Eastern game development. And you can argue about those things however you please. But something that I've noticed, and this is especially on the anime side, though I know it can happen with the video game side as well, specifically the original Persona 4. I'm not focusing on that because there were some voice acting changes that occurred from the original, like the original.
Okay.
Where, some voice actors should have been changed. Because have you listened to some of those old voice acting from that game? There's a lot that's not so great. Especially in comparison to 4. Like Golden.
I played Golden, and I watched maybe a quarter of the anime.
Yeah, and the anime is the same as Golden. Point is, though, that it seems like voice actors are discarded a lot more when it comes to... I'm trying to think... I should have brought more examples, because I looked them up before, and I forgot them when this news first broke. There's... like in Japanese, when a character is voiced by a certain voice actor, you can expect them, whenever they show up, not only in other like versions of anime or movie or video games or whatever they originated from, but any kind of other kind of medium they cross over into. Like, there's almost like this expectation where you stick with your character far more than you do when it comes to like English voice acting. It seems like they get swapped out a lot more.
Oh, again, the Japanese swap them out a lot more.
No, the English American voice actors get swapped out more whenever they're brought onto other like.
I don't really see a difference between English and American. Like, it's as long as you're speaking the language of English, and I don't see this swapping out thing that you're talking about.
I think of it also in terms of Rise was changed we're sticking to Persona 4 to the dance Persona games that are popular.
Yeah,
I don't know who they're popular with.
Dancing all night.
Dancing all night. Yeah. There's a third, like one for 3 and one for 5. They changed Rise's voice actor. I know that.
Okay.
Is there really a reason that there needs to happen? No.
Well, you're also assuming it's always coming from top down.
That's true.
Sometimes an actor's just like, hey, I don't have time to do this, or I'm not interested.
Going back into anime, Bleach. It's very famous. You may have heard about it before. There's a character named Kenpachi. They changed, at some point randomly, changed his voice actor from the original one to this new one that's not as good. They just I actually don't know if they ended up going with the original voice actor with the revival that happened recently, but I know he was like making a post on Twitter or one of those sites now.
The English dub.
Yeah, the English dub, saying like, I want to come back for this character. Again, he was removed and replaced back in the day when it was originally airing, and he still has this attachment to do this character. And so why was he changed originally? I don't know. It's just not something that happens in Japanese voice acting. Nico Robin, a character from One Piece.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to. This is mainly from anime. Maybe less for video games, certainly for anime.
I mean, also, like, would you, someone who lives in America, like, be aware of these things happening all the time?
Not necessarily, which is my perception as an American person. But I've consumed dubs. I've consumed subs. Japanese, English. And there's a lot of definitive Japanese voices that never go away. And when I look, because I like looking up casting for anything, So very often when I think, did that character voice this person? I go back and I find out what other things they've worked in, and very often in the process of that, I find out that the same voice actor will do the same voice acting for a character for like 20 years. Because anime, of course, has lots of long running shows,
Right?
And so,
Can I ask? Is it always a problem?
No, not always a problem.
Yeah.
I just think in this case, if we're taking it at the value of you have original voice actors who embody the characters very well. They personally love the characters a lot.
They've done it in multiple games.
And they want to come back for it.
Sure.
And they're being told, no, why not? What's the reason to change something that's already beloved and already well done?
Maybe go in a new direction. Maybe revitalize some of that dialogue. Maybe give another unknown name a chance to make a name for themselves.
And that could happen. I have a
what
feeling
they did for P3.
Yeah, did they?
Yep.
P3.
Those are not the same actors.
Some of them are, though.
No.
Like Junpei's the same.
I don't believe so.
Mitsuru's the same.
Pretty sure it's a new cast.
I have to look that up. But either way, I think it'd be kind of makes sense going in a new direction, or giving older voice actors who don't have as much of an established position in the industry a chance to shine. But I just don't feel like they would most likely do that. I feel like they'd just maybe go for somebody that may be cheaper.
I mean, the game is also almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And these people were adults when they played the game, the characters initially. Like, I'm sorry, Yuri Lowenthal doesn't. I don't. Sure, he still can, but like, is he still gonna portray like the best high schooler ever vocally? Like, he's a little older, a little.
He sounds like a high school. He sounds like.
I mean, he's a nasally guy, so he can still kind of do it sometimes, right? But like, I mean, there are times in Spider-Man where I'm like, you're not as young as, and that's a grown man, in those games. He's 20-something in Spider-Man 1. And even then, sometimes I'm like, you're carrying this a little heavier than you probably should. Ashley Johnson in The Last of Us, even though, specifically in Part 2, even though in Part 2 she is 19 years old, she doesn't act like it. She acts like she's, in her upper 20s or whatever. And there's just a big difference between those two. Now, you could argue it's because Ellie had to grow up fast or whatever, this, that, and the third. But Ashley Johnson being almost 40 and, well into her 30s by the time she did Part 2, and there's an effect that happens there. Now, I'm not saying it happens all the time, and I'm not saying that these actors aren't talented and can't do it, but I've also played Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, and that voice cast came back, and they are fucking boring as shit in those roles that they initially voiced and were great in. So
great.
There's a lot of no, they were great. I mean, for the time, like look at the landscape of video games for the time.
But that's kind of my point. Where that's a case where the older voice acting in something like Metal Gear Solid 1 works for the game rather than just.
Right, but a lot of those actors have done voices in other stuff, and they're good actors.
Yeah,
like they're good actors.
Oh yeah, I'm no doubt. Yeah.
And then I think when you approach a remake, you have a couple of choices, right? You can't really. I think you have three choices. You bring the cast back and they re-record all their dialogue, which sometimes can work great, sometimes can work better than the original product, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well. You can bring in a new cast, shine some light, give them a shot. Sometimes that works great. Sometimes it works fine. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well. Or you can just do what the new Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater remake is doing and just reuse all the dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't like that choice. I don't like that choice at all. I think that's super, super boring. So to me, I don't see unless they're adding new content, I don't see the purpose in bringing the cast back because the game is just going to be the same. I mean, unless they're like voicing some of the dialogues that weren't voiced in the original game, that would be cool. But at the same time, now you got to like voice match and do thing, or if they're reusing any of that old stuff, that could be tricky. If they're just re-recording everything, now you got to pay these actors who have been in the industry for a lot of time, so you got to pay them a lot more. Maybe the budget's just not that high because it's a lower class remake. Like Persona 3 didn't have the same budget. I'm sorry, Persona 3 Reload did not have the same budget as Persona 5, right? And it's not going to have the same budget as Persona 6.
Yeah.
It feels realistic to me that the way they're churning out, the way they are maybe churning out Persona 4's remake, tells me they've kind of got all the systems made because of they took it all from 5, and so now it's just art that they're bringing in. So like but we want to bring in new voice talent, or we want to. I'm sorry. Slow down. I'm going too fast.
Mm-hmm.
We have a limited budget. I'm making excuses for them right here. We have a limited budget. We want the game to be voiced still. We could reuse dialogue. That would be boring. We want to add voiced segment to the scenes that weren't voiced initially, which I can't remember. Persona 3 Reload, is there non-voiced segments in that game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. But like with the social links?
No.
See, I can't speak to the original P3, but in P4, the social links are not voiced.
Mm-hmm.
Except for maybe the first and the last one. You know, but everything in between mute, and you're just reading. So they may want to be like, oh, well, let's do that. Well, we can't afford to pay these actors for the full job, maybe. Or maybe we just want to, I don't know. It could be, you know what I'm getting at?
I get what you're saying.
So now it's like, all right, well, let's get some new talent who cost less, but they're still great because great actors, are all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, certainly could be. Certainly be because they are.
I did a really bad job of explaining that.
It's complicated, especially because we don't know the intricacies of all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, it could be because yes, my analysis is true. They cast off voice actors more so in this side. Sure, maybe it's just cold rational.
I think it's
money management.
The casting off actors thing, I think, is a perception thing for you. Like, I just don't think you see when the Japanese do it.
Yeah, maybe. I also see them generally care about their characters more. Like when I watch English voice actors talk, very often they'll have characters they love voicing, but it seems like they more often don't market the same way I've seen them market things over in Japan, where they kind of they do it with their whole chest.
Speaking as an actor, I don't know about that, but I also have never seen a Japanese press run, so there's that part. That could just be a cultural. Yeah, I wouldn't say that with my chest if I were you.
I'm not. I mean, it's my perception.
Yeah,
but.
Anyways, as a big fan of Persona 4 and someone who wants this remake to happen, this doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine. Is it disappointing? I guess, but I'll be honest. Troy Baker's in that game. Troy Baker is a lot more expensive than he was in 2008. Is when the original game came out? No,
2007. No, 2000. One of those is right. With Golden, you're talking about
2008. Persona 4 was released in 2008 on the PlayStation 2. Troy Baker's much more expensive than he was in 2008. Yuri Lowenthal's much more expensive than he was in 2008. And these voices are also much more well-known. It could distract from the narrative. Actually, it will distract from the narrative. When I found Troy Baker's character in the game and I went, "That Troy Baker?" It did break me out of the world of Persona.
That's because you're a dick sucker. That's all you are.
No, it's because I was in a post Last of Us world. And so, Troy Baker was just all over the fucking place. And I went, oh, it's Troy Baker. Cool.
Yeah, why does that matter?
Because I can't get because then I can't get the Troy Baker isms out of my head, and I'm focused on those instead of experiencing a fully flushed out character.
Welcome to voice acting.
Well,
that's like every voice actor that's ever existed.
I mean, yes, but no, it
is
no, because when Samuel L. Jackson is in a movie, it's Samuel L. Jackson, not necessarily Nick Fury. You know what I mean? When Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie, it's Robert Downey Jr., not necessarily Tony Stark, right? You know what I'm saying? When Troy Baker does Joel, I see Joel, right? But when Troy Baker did
what game?
Persona, starts with a K.
Kanji? Kanji?
Kanji.
Yeah, Kanji.
Kanji. That was distracting because I went, oh, fuck. That's weird. It's the same. It's the dude who did the Tales of the Borderlands. It's the dude who did Nathan Drake's brother. It's the dude,
It seems like you're just saying, this voice actor did other work. And it's like, okay, yeah. But why is it infringing on this game and nothing else?
Because there are isms that get attached and they start wanting that. Nolan North went on a run where he was just Nolan North for like 20 video games in a row because that's what they wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Right? Laura Bailey doesn't do that. I don't pick up on Laura Bailey when she does Mary Jane, when she does Abby, when she does fucking Black Widow. Like, there are isms that I can still pick out from her performances of just like her natural instincts as an actor and so forth. But like, I guess like it's just not as much of. Sometimes it's a problem when these really well-known actors inhabit roles that don't really fit for the like. It's like,
I get what you're saying.
Like,
I
Troy
don't agree
Baker's
with
also
it
not
at all.
the lead of the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just distracting. It's
See,
distracting.
These things are hang-ups I would never get. But, you feel you.
Except you would. You're just nitpicking this argument.
I
because
literally
there's not a
have
face
never.
attached to
There's
it.
never been a character who's been voiced
You've never
by
watched
anybody.
a Samuel L. Jackson movie and been like, "That's Samuel L. Jackson."
No, that's my point. Is that I recognize who they are, but it doesn't do anything for like the character. It's not like I go, "Well, this character, I wish they would change it."
You've never felt. Man, this guy just does the same role again and again. You've never felt that.
That's the difference between having them do a lot of the same roles again and just being in a role. They're two different things.
Okay. Then I guess I've seen all the tricks Troy Baker has for that type of role.
Yeah.
And maybe you just haven't because you fucking spend too much time watching anime like a fucking idiot.
See, I know Troy Baker. I mean, not Troy Baker. There's other ones that are just as recognizable. It doesn't impact it because it doesn't matter. I do the same thing with Japanese voice actors.
This is a you thing. Everybody, this is a widely known thing of like,
literally.
No, it's totally a widely known thing of like people going, "Oh no, yeah, I couldn't get past the fact that XYZ person was in this."
Because those people get hung up on useless, stupid things. Most people want these guys to come back. You're in the minority there. I'm not saying, well, most people want them to come back, so your opinion is
people
wrong.
do want them to come back because people don't understand how art and creation work.
It's because you have these
because
hang-ups
not because of this hang up. I'm just saying this is a thing. This is a thing I felt the first time I played the game, not now.
That's still your problem. Just like it's your problem.
I played the game and I went, "That's Troy Baker," and he's doing all the Troy Baker isms.
He sounds like Troy Baker. He definitely does.
When Mark Hamill was in The Flash and playing the trickster, you don't look at that and go, "He's just doing his Joker voice. He's just doing the Joker."
Yeah, because he's playing the trickster. Like, what? I can guarantee. I don't know. I guess I know
the same thing.
Because they're the same kind of character. One's more sadistic. That's like the difference.
That's the same thing where you watch that episode of The Flash and you go, "That's just you doing the Joker. You're just doing the Joker."
Yeah, and when I was watching that episode, because I've actually watched this, I was like, he's doing a Joker voice because he's doing like the Joker character.
The dog just whined. This is a thing, and just because you don't experience it doesn't mean it's not a thing.
Just because you experience it doesn't mean it is a thing.
But this happens with other people. People criticize actors all the time for doing the same thing all the time. I get in fights with people at my work because they always say Denzel Washington plays angry black man. And I'm like, if you think that's all Denzel does, you don't understand nuance. Because he's one of the most talented actors of all time. He's got a lot of tricks in his bag. I'm just saying for this archetype, I've seen the Troy Baker tricks 100 times. So when I played the game, I was like, "That's Troy Baker," and I can't get out of my mind that that's Troy Baker.
Seems like this is connected to Troy Baker as just a voice actor.
This is the prime example. Yuri Lowenthal's the same way. When I played Persona 4, I didn't know Yuri Lowenthal. Now I'm in a post Yuri Lowenthal explosion, so I've seen Yuri Lowenthal's tricks. And so now if I were to go back and play and see his Yosuke, I'd probably be like, "That's Yuri Lowenthal doing his Yuri Lowenthal thing."
Does it impact the character though? Does it matter though beyond just who that guy is? That's my core thing here. Is that what does this change beyond just being a character?
It has the potential to break full immersion.
That's also the other issue where, going into Persona, for example, you've talked about it before when we've reviewed it, that you're like, oh, the Persona main character you play is a stand-in for you, right? That's like an
right, but I'm not talking about the main character.
I'm talking about like immersion in the sense of like certain things, and I've heard that from many people before as well. Especially with silent protagonists, like they put themselves in the role of whoever that character is. I've never gotten that at all. Like mainly with Persona, is that like to hammer home on that example when people are like, "Oh, I'm choosing dialogue options of what I would do rather than the character."
You think the character you play as in a Persona game is a fully fleshed out real character with dimensions?
I think the issue is that they don't go that full route. Instead, they try to give you that element of like it's kind of you, but at no point in time, as immersed as I get in those games, this is what I would do. I still treat it like a character, just not a character that's fully realized in the same way other ones
well,
are.
I mean, there's a range of it. There's a range, and I've talked about this 100 times before. There's a range of like players putting themselves in the shoes of the characters, and then like it actually being a real character. Yeah. The problem with Persona is it is you, but they as the creators assume you are the coolest and just best guy ever. Because you want to be, in your head, as Connor Elliott, you want to be the coolest and best guy ever, right? You want to always say, I would always make the right choice. I'd always be nice to my friends and so forth. But if you actually examine the character in a Persona game, their actions, they're a manipulative motherfucker, right? That's the thing, is it's just not done well. You know, it's not like Fallout does it a little bit better when, like Fallout 3 and New Vegas do it a little bit better because it's a non-voiced character with a bunch of...
I think her foot's trapped.
What?
I think so, because like at the same spot, and she was like moving and not moving earlier. Is it not? Like in the bars?
Her front 2 feet are fine.
Okay, then I'm hung up on things because I can't see her all the way. She's just spazzing out then. Looked like she was from over here.
Anyways.
Sorry, but get you off track.
And then like a Fallout character where you are supposed to inhabit, and they give you a bunch of dialogue options, and you read it out, and it's supposed to be you, right? That's a little more you. It just kind of turns you turning into like a kind of a psychopath. So it doesn't like really work, in my opinion, all the way. And then like there's something in the middle, like a Commander Shepard, where like Shepard has a character, you have influence over that character. And then there's a Witcher 3, where Geralt is a hardline character, and for some reason they give you dialogue options, and you go, this is not... You know, Geralt would not do this. So, you know, like it's a range of things. And, you know, Persona just falls on the other side of that, you know. Why are we in this point?
Yeah, it was something about immersion and how people have weird hangups on immersion when they're just in their head. It was my overall point.
Well, I mean, it just breaks the, like, Ethan Hunt's not a character. It's just Tom Cruise, you know?
Basically.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what that is what I'm talking about, where I go, that's not a new character to me. This is you doing your you thing, you know? Like, you know, and that's what I meant to say with the Troy Baker-isms and the Samuel L. Jackson-isms, where you just go, all right, this is that actor who does the thing he does very well, but I've seen this 100 other times.
And that makes more sense for traditional actors, not voice actors.
I disagree.
I think voice actors get that kind of freedom. That's one of the benefits of it.
Nope.
Like they have certain ways they do things, but you immediately associate a completely different character and they're acting differently by you just have certain hangups on their voice and how they portray that and say, well, it prevents me from...
But if they do the same vocal tricks again and again, and I can identify it as a Troy Baker, when Kanji acts like Booker DeWitt, who acts like Sam Drake...
These are just their voices, not how they act. Like, you're talking about they act the exact same way. And they don't even...
When the context is applied to whatever the scene is, right? Character falls down a flight of stairs, right? You're going to hear the same noises, because how many different ways can you portray falling down a flight of stairs with just your voice? Sure, a couple of different ways, but at some point I'm going to be able to identify that's Connor's voice falling down the stairs. You know, it doesn't matter if Connor is playing Sam Drake, Booker DeWitt, or Kanji. I'm like, that's Connor falling down a flight of stairs. You know?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
What we're talking about, though, you also see them doing it. In a voice acting in a role.
I specifically just said how many different ways can you vocally inflect that you're falling down a flight of stairs. It's a lot of literally. I could do the Troy Baker thing that he does. Like he does it in all of his games where he's using his normal voice. You know, he's not doing it in Indiana Jones. He's not doing it in The Last of Us. Those are different sounds because he puts on a different voice. But when he's using his Troy Baker voice, yeah, I hear it and I go, it's Troy Baker. Yeah, doing Troy Baker-isms.
I'm not saying that, but you act like the character gets impacted negatively.
Versus a character who I don't know their actor and I'm not familiar with their work because they're a no-name or I'm just ignorant. I can be more immersed and be like, that's Yukiko. You know, I don't think of the actor who plays Yukiko. I go Yukiko. You know, because that's what I know. That's the benefit of hiring unknowns. Is nobody's going, that's, you know, so and so. That's why the original Star Wars has a bunch of fucking unknowns in it. Because if you put, I don't even know who was popular in the 70s. Clint Eastwood? Is he in the 70s? I don't fucking know. If you put Clint Eastwood in that role,
he's definitely popular.
It doesn't. If Clint Eastwood is Han Solo does not become Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's because Harrison Ford, who had done one other movie at that time, is Han Solo that he becomes Han Solo.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying, but I think in the case of voice acting, once again, you're being more rigid than you otherwise would be.
Acting is acting.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's your face or
that's like
you as an actor have to use your instruments, which is your body and your voice, to fit the job that you're supposed to do.
But I've heard
with a voice actor where you're just in a booth, yes, you're not using the physical instruments as much, but you're still using the vocal ones.
Yeah.
And you would still use these vocal ones. Maybe they're a little bit more enhanced because you only have this, so you have to focus on it a little bit more. But you still use this tool. Just because in some wood shops I use a hammer and a saw doesn't mean that one is more important than the other. I still use them, you know? But
one is only important in one way. And I say this because I remember what fucking I'm having to dredge it from my mind. I think it was like fucking Disney film. Some character actor, stage actor was doing a role.
You're telling me Tom Holland does an animated film. You can't hear the Tom Hollandisms?
Depends on what he does for just that voice acting role because it changes. I mean, look at I always get his name, new Batman. Patterson.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. That's what it is. Yeah. That guy, he's gone into voice acting more and more now, and he changes his voice acting to the nth degree almost every single time he does
I'm not saying this is an every time thing. I'm saying when the actor uses their normal voice repeatedly, and I see it a lot. I've heard Troy Baker's normal voice a lot. That's why I said I don't have this problem when he does Indiana Jones. I don't have this problem when he does Joel, because he does a different voice.
I see, yeah.
Right? David Hayter as Snake. If that's all David Hayter could do and did 13 other roles where he played Snake, you would look at him and go, it's fucking David Hayter, like he's doing the same thing he did with Snake. Like, what the hell is going on here? You know? But that's not David Hayter's voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. My issue is
I get it with Jennifer Hale sometimes too. Because Jennifer Hale does a lot of the same, you know, because she uses her natural voice in a lot of her work. So a lot of times I'm like, it's Jennifer Hale. I can't stop thinking about how that's Jennifer Hale. And I'm watching Jennifer Hale perform as opposed to watching Emma Emmerich or fucking Commander Shepard or whatever other Jennifer Hale performance you want to throw up there.
Yeah.
Her role in Bulletstorm. Like, whatever that character's name was, you know?
Trish.
Sure,
yeah.
You know?
Trish.
And also, back to the Persona thing. Sometimes the first one to do it doesn't nail it. I don't think that's the case for Persona 4.
Yeah.
But maybe with Troy Baker. But sometimes the first guy to do it doesn't nail it. Final Fantasy VII Remake used all new voices. We've had voice casts for those characters before.
Yeah, but it was never hardline like the original was using it.
Huh?
Like you have an original baseline for when something is created, and it goes beyond that original creation. Like Final Fantasy VII, since there was no voice acting,
we had Advent Children, we had Dirge of Cerberus, we had Crisis Core.
Yeah, but there's no baseline establishing that voice for that character, which is I think it serves as a very strong foundation for when you think of a character sounding a certain way. Which is why, for example, nobody remembers even though you played the base game of Persona 4 how they changed voice actors because nobody really cared at the time.
For what game?
For Persona 4, because the original version of it had different voice actors than Golden does. But when people think of things, because the voice
across the board or just a couple voices?
I think like some notable ones I remember hearing. Like I know Chie was different.
I know Chie was different.
Yeah. I think Rize was.
Nobody gave a shit about that.
Yeah, because they weren't good. That's the core thing here. Whether that sounds good or not, and whether it's like baseline establishing what this character sounds like.
I guess I'm just not attached to a actor being the character. Like I'm totally fine with a new take. I'm totally fine with change. Like that's totally fine. Not so much because I get stuck up on the isms thing that we spent way too long talking about. But like I don't know. I'm from theater. There's been 10 million different fucking King Lears.
Mm-hmm.
So what if there's another one? Let's see what this new guy's got. You know, that's
where-
always the energy there.
Where did
Like,
Lear originate
and
from?
for some reason, for movies and television and now video games, like we just fucking siphon a character down to one thing, and that's how you end up with CG faced Luke Skywalkers.
That's a different thing. That's like
No,
people
it's
getting
because
old
Disney's
and
too much of
dying.
a fucking coward to recast Luke Skywalker. Just recast him. That's
Yeah.
how you end up with broken stories that don't make sense from their original movie, like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, where you go, where the fuck did T'Challa go? It's because they didn't recast him because Chadwick Boseman was the definitive T'Challa. No, he wasn't. He just played the role.
What's the underlining here thing? Greedy, evil, mega corporation Disney. I can't think of this for many other examples.
How is Disney being greedy?
Like, we have to make sure it's like Luke Skywalker is like Luke Skywalker when he came on screen in 1970.
No, it's
he needs
because
to look like that.
they're too fucking cowardly to recast because Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, that's why they're
No, he's
making.
not.
That's
He's
why
Mark
they're
Hamill.
making 1-to-1 ratios of fucking How to Train Your Dragon. That's why, because they're
Well,
souls.
name me a character who the actor is that character,
And what?
or that character is the actor. Name me a character. Who
From
is that?
voice
for you?
acting to acting?
It doesn't matter. It does. They're the same thing.
Well, what are you asking? So reframe it again. What are you saying?
The thing I've just been saying about how Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker. No one else can do Luke Skywalker. Who is that for you? Because we can recast that motherfucker, and that motherfucker would probably do just as good of a job, maybe even a better job.
Yeah.
That's what we're always scared of, really, is maybe these motherfuckers do better.
Yeah.
And then what happens to the thing you love? Not the best version anymore. So
Yeah.
you got a better version of the thing you love, or you got a different version. Sometimes different is more enjoyable.
I think when people realize, like, oh, you're literally an old man, or you sound like an old man.
Who?
Mark Hamill. He doesn't sound the same as he used to.
No.
Yeah. So changing him.
But guess who does the voice of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian?
Who?
Mark Hamill.
Does he?
Yes.
This is a Disney thing.
They put it's not a Disney thing, man. This is the public's weird attachment of actors to characters.
How often does that happen with other people?
Detach the actor from the character. They're not. There's
Indiana Jones.
There's not an example. Well, well, clearly, we just had an example where we don't need Harrison Ford to do Indiana Jones.
Yes. Now here we're talking about video games, and know what? They're better than movies, so they do better in that area.
But people do this with video game characters too. People do this all the fucking time. It's only in the theater where we're like, yeah, you know, you play a character. This guy played it. That guy played it. That guy played it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that guy was Dracula. That guy was Dracula. That guy was
know why?
Dracula.
'Cause
That girl was Dracula. It was a fun time with that girl when that girl did Dracula.
Because the baseline for all of those is that they're all dead. They've been dead for hundreds of years. Whoever
Peter
did that
is
originally.
alive and well right now.
No, whoever did that originally. He was King Lear.
Oh, that guy's
That was
really
dead.
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy's super dead.
Bones. He's
You know?
bones.
But so, you know what I mean? Denzel Washington's on stage doing Othello right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna tell me Othello is Denzel Washington? No.
Mm-hmm.
You know? No. Othello's Othello.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
I don't even know who that is. I know who. I've heard the name. I don't know what his story is.
We just need to. We don't need to like be like so precious with who's voicing what character.
I don't think so, unless they can just do it and want to do it.
Also bugs me that Yuri Lowenthal is just the Spider-Man guy now. Nobody else can be Spider-Man now. It's got to be Yuri. What are we doing?
He loves that character. Wants to
And
come
that's
back for it.
fine. And I'm glad that he loves it, and I'm glad he's willing to do it. And you know, he does his job as an actor, and he tries to make every Spider-Man a little bit different and so forth. But man, felt a little cheap when Yuri was Spider-Man in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. It felt a little cheap when Yuri was Spider-Man in Marvel Rivals. Like, you know, it's just like, we couldn't get anybody else for this. We had to get the Insomniac guy. All right. He does great. It's still my favorite Spider-Man.
He's good. You can blame Spider-Man 1 for that. Marvel Spider-Man.
Why would I blame
Isn't that the first one he did?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one.
That's not it's not their fault.
It's his fault.
Different project.
It's his fault.
Only in the sense that he agreed to do it.
Yeah. You know.
But, you know, I would do it. I'd play Spider-Man in every game ever if it were up to me.
Yeah, you are a loser like that.
You move on.
Oh, I know.
Fuck!
I know. Don't look at it.
See what happens when you don't have like a human experience and you just sit in your fucking robotic mind and just go, oh no, it's different because you got a different picture tied to it. It's the same voice, but it's got a different picture on it, so it's different.
As far as hangups are going, I think you talked more in these past however long we've been doing it.
Right, but you had the thing of like, oh, that's not a thing, Tavin. It's got a different picture to it. How could it be the same if it's a different picture?
Because you're getting hung up because you're a little bitch. Circle. Great circle. Putting the isosceles triangle in there. Putting glasses there. Drawing himself. You want to draw himself, putting a gun up to his head. That is him. He's going to kill himself. In this photo. Not in real life. I think. Now he's going too far into it now. He's trying to draw not even his real hairstyle.
As a kid, I wanted to be a comic book artist.
That would have been cool.
Would have been cool.
Then you didn't want to
learn how to draw. learning how to draw a little bit. Oh, Connor, it's not me. Connor, this is Stephen Smith.
Tavin.
Look, Connor, it's me, Stephen Smith.
This doesn't work when I can see you.
Oh, Connor, man, it's so great to see you again, buddy. I love you, buddy. Oh, man, it's me, your best friend, Tavin. Oh, now Stephen Smith is here.
I saw you.
Look, Stephen Smith is here.
He's being facetious. Whatever word I would use that's probably not properly
the fucking
used.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard. The character sounds the exact same, but you different pictures. No different. What are you talking about? Oh, I only see his voice. I only hear his voice. I don't see his face. So it's got to be a different thing, even though he uses the same voice. What are you talking about? I think you just fucking idiot.
I think you just straw manned my argument.
Your argument was stupid.
I think you're just hung up on weird things, and most other people are too.
Now, if I went in here, Connor, don't forget. Yeah, oh, dude, it's solid Stephen Smith, man. Solid Steve. Connor. Done it. See? All right, yeah, now, okay, that's a different character. Now, solid Stephen Smith is the same. But when it's just this, Connor, this is Tavin doing the Tavinisms.
Tavin, I don't think
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't think you're a voice actor for a reason. Leave that to Phil, bud.
All right, we're doing. I don't know what the third topic was, but it's this one now.
Handhelds.
Okay,
I'm already writing it.
Go ahead.
Back to video games and not voice acting. Microsoft. This is from IGN. Microsoft reportedly pulls back development on its own Xbox handheld to focus on third-party devices.
Sorry, I forgot that I had a job here to do. I was fucking around in the chat.
By Vicky Blake. Microsoft has reportedly pulled back on development. Yeah, we already just read that. Microsoft was reportedly planning to launch its own handheld device sometime around 2027, potentially alongside its next-gen Xbox. Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer recently indicated a first-party Xbox handheld was years away. However, a new report by Windows Central now claims Microsoft priorities have shifted, with the team now focusing on improving Windows 11 gaming performance for third-party devices, working alongside partners like Asus on its own Xbox-branded handheld device, codenamed Project Kennen. According to Windows Central, staff were internally informed that, quote, priorities are moving more deeply towards third-party OEM handhelds in the interim, end quote. Photos of Asus's Xbox-branded handheld devices were leaked online earlier this month. 2 images of the Asus ROG Ally 2 device, one white, one black, went public via the Indonesian Certification Office, which linked to a, now deleted, listing on the US's FCC website. Interestingly, Windows Central's report adds that, quote, the hardware side is essentially finished and is thought to be one of the first devices to use the AMD Z2 Extreme processor. The tech specs at this time are a little piecemeal, and so it's not entirely clear how it'll run or if there are any meaningful differences between the black and white version. Rumor has it the devices are, quote, currently being tested at Microsoft HQ rather openly as we speak, end quote. Last month, Asus's Republic of Gamers X/Twitter account shared a teaser offering a brief glimpse at both a Republic of Games ROG, Xbox controller, and handheld system. The official Xbox account acknowledged that tweets with a cheeky wide-eyed gif suggesting it was gearing up for a formal reveal. The successor to the Xbox Series X is reportedly fully in production and due out in 2 years, tying in with Xbox President Sarah Bond's recent comments that Microsoft was moving full speed ahead on our next-generation hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation.
They're always focused on getting the biggest technological leap. There's no leaps anymore. It's only just steps now.
We're going to learn how to make movies more playable on your Xbox console.
Xbox keeps getting so close to making the right choice, and then just for whatever reason, just pivoting away from it.
I thought this was going to be their bread and butter going forward in the gaming market because they've been clearly defeated in the console space. PlayStation.
I'll go one step forward, Connor. If you're not prepared to put out a handheld that is on the equivalent of your home console, at least enough to be able to play the game, you're losing. The Switch changed the game.
Well, they're used to losing.
The Switch changed the game. It's not about who can put out the beefiest, strongest processors anymore. That's still important, don't get me wrong. But it's not about who's got the strongest machine. It's who's got the most capable machine. Whose machine can benefit those using it the most.
Yes.
Connor, what matters more? That you can play Netflix on every single one of your devices, or this one very specific device plays Netflix the best?
And the latter.
Sure, maybe sometimes. But
yeah,
more often than
not,
if I'm just fucking around somewhere that's not my home, I'm loading up something on this little bad boy right here. Now, Xbox is saying, hey, well, instead of making it our own, we're just gonna dip to the guys who are already doing it and probably doing it better than us anyway. So we're just gonna help them support that. That's fine. That's a fine tactic. But goddamn, Xbox, you were ahead of PlayStation once. They got caught with their pants down. They weren't ready for mobile gaming, handheld gaming. They weren't. We know they're not. The Portal caught them so fucking off guard that they went, oh shit, maybe we should look into this. There's not going to be a handheld launching day and date with the PlayStation 6. But you, Xbox, could have done that. And you could have put yourself in a position to where, alongside your marketing campaign of everything is an Xbox, here's a Xbox branded box that you can pick up and play anywhere and take it anywhere, and it's your same games. It doesn't matter what games are there now. It's just that I can play my games anywhere now. Play them well. That's what matters more now.
And I think we're getting, because we talked about the Xbox One's failings back in the day. Of course, we didn't have this podcast at the time. God,
they fucked up.
They fucked up big time. And I think we're at least not as bad as that, of course. We're seeing that in real time now. And we're being able to react to it. Because, it just boggles the mind why you wouldn't go in the one direction you can go in. And instead you're like, we're going to have the greatest jump in, technological leaps in a current generation. This is the same thing that they did when they and granted, I'm glad they've done this, but from a business sense, it didn't make a whole lot more. It made sense, like the strategy made sense, but not as much as like it had been traditionally in the past. When they brought down the first party wall and they said, hey, we're going to start putting our games everywhere. Can you imagine the state Xbox would be in this year if they said, no, exclusive on everything we own? Yeah.
Doom the Dark Ages, South of Midnight. What was the other one? There's another one. There's more. If they had locked down an exclusivity deal with Claire Obscure, if they got more coming this year too that I can't fuck it. Outer Worlds, Avowed,
Oblivion Remastered.
Can you imagine if all of these things were exclusive to an Xbox platform? Fuck, I'd probably buy a fucking Xbox, man. Because I want to play these goddamn games.
But they're clearly not interested in getting in this, dogfight anymore. They kind of resigned themselves. And
I think this console war dominance thing needs to end anyways. We are well past the time of that being a relevant conversation anymore. Quite frankly, the box doesn't matter anymore. Sure, yes, what's in it in the sense of like how well can it run my stuff and how cutting edge is the technology, all of that. Yeah. Top of the line doesn't matter as much as bottom of the line. Bottom of the line matters so much more. And the gap between these two things is so small. It's smaller than it's ever been. And it's only going to get smaller
now that there's not as many technological leaps as there were in days past.
Right. As we keep going, like this gap is just going to continue to get smaller and smaller. Listen, the Nintendo Switch 2 is underpowered for current standards, undeniably, but it's good enough.
It is. Yeah.
And if my test for this is going to be when Cyberpunk 2077 launches on it, does it run well enough? Well, then that's fine. If that's okay. If this is the floor, that's okay. And guess what? This floor is cheaper than the ceiling. So why do I need to be up here? I don't.
I really don't know what they're doing. I can't even, as somebody, now maybe they have some inside knowledge of stuff going on in the company that we don't.
I'm
that's
sure.
justifying this,
100% they do.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. They
I
were
mean,
looking at it and they would go,
I wouldn't,
you know, it's
I
not-
wouldn't be confident saying 100% because clearly they've never been one to make the right decisions all the time.
I mean,
So it's
yes and no, but like if I could just have a guarantee that Xbox stuff runs best on Xbox hardware, then I'm gonna get Xbox hardware.
yeah.
You know, it's for the same reason that I use Google Drive, so I have a Google phone.
Mhm.
Or maybe it was vice versa. I bought the Google phone, so now I use Google Drive everywhere. You know what I mean? If I bought the Xbox handheld instead of a Steam Deck, well then, motherfucker, can you get Steam to run on it? All right, well then we're good. Really, that's all that matters is can we get these digital softwares onto our things? These boxes are TVs now. It doesn't matter what the fuck, or they're phones now. You know, they're just really high powered phones. It doesn't matter what the fuck is on it or what the fuck it's built for. Can it get the app? Is the app still working? Okay, great. Then I'm going to use the app on the phone of my choice. You know.
What's weird is that it also seems so much. It seemed like it was pretty far into development.
Yeah.
To bring it back all like now.
Oh, I guarantee
weird
you
timing.
that this thing was going to launch day and date with their next Xbox. It was going to be just as important, if not more important.
And now it's taking the back pedal, but not for a good reason.
I mean,
Like,
cool. Listen, ROG Ally, I'm sure they're very happy about that. Steam Deck, I'm sure they're very happy about that.
Taking it back to the successor of the Xbox Series X, are they expecting people to all of a sudden say, "I'm going to start buying Xbox now"? Do they really think it's going to be that impressive?
I just don't think they gauge success on the next Xbox to be like they're not gauging their personal success based off of, how that sells.
And I get that. So why not go into a different direction that could potentially make you far more money?
Also, I don't see the next Xbox just being an Xbox. I would 100%. I'm almost willing to bet money the next Xbox will be able to have Steam on it.
Yeah, okay. That'll be the one thing I can think of right now that would justify it, but
it's gonna have
help a lot for other
what is the version of Steam that you can use your controller with?
Steam Deck? Wait, what?
No, the in Steam on your
controller,
PC. Yeah, the controller mode or whatever. You know where big
screen
mode,
mode,
big screen mode, whatever that. Yeah,
big screen mode.
it's good. The next Xbox will just have that.
Yeah,
and it'll be like, oh, I could just use it with my controller and just download games and things, and then Xbox cuts a deal and they get a percentage of everything sold through Steam on that. It's a phone now. What are the specs of your phone, Connor? Do you know?
No,
you're not going to know. Eventually, you're not going to go know what your game console does either. It's not a matter of like, is it the strongest thing out? Is it able to do XYZ thing, like run Microsoft Word? That's not what's going to matter. It's the tried and true console selling experience of I plug it in and it works and it has access to all of the things that I want. And let's be honest, most video games feel better on a controller anyway.
Most is a strong word.
Easily most feel better on a controller.
I give it to that. Yeah,
there's specific genres of video games that like
need to be played on a controller.
Need to be played on a controller. But there's specific genres of video games that like feel better on a mouse. First person shooter, sure. If I could, honestly, first person shooter, I wish I could have both.
Mm-hmm.
Mouse to aim, but like move with the stick. Right?
That'd be weird at that point.
That's the perfect thing. It's what the Switch 2 promises.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see how that works.
Yeah.
Like a MOBA or like an MMO, those work pretty well on mouse and keyboard alone. Or like like an Age of Empires, like those are great. But everything else, I'd rather be on a controller. God forbid I have to swing a sword with a mouse. God, fuck that. Absolutely not.
But it's omnidirectional.
Right, versus a button press.
Yeah, that is not omnidirectional. One thing, dude.
Right, but does it do the damage?
Clicking does at the same time. Wait. when I kind of defeated my own point there. Huh. Strange.
Your logic circled right back to what I was saying. That's insane.
Sometimes when you argue things like that, well.
Xbox, I think this is a mistake, but do you, boo?
Again, hey, maybe they have that big Steam function.
And maybe I'm a little premature with that, but I also don't. I think this is the last generation, and maybe not the last. I think this is going to be one of the. We're not getting more than 2 more generations of like, here's the box, buy the special box.
we'll probably get more, but not in a long time. Not in a long time.
By the time, Connor, you and I are both 27 right now, right? Are you 28 now?
28 now.
You're 28 now. Congratulations, old fuck. By the time we're 40, it's not going to be a box. It's all going to be digital streamed, an app in my TV.
Well, with the AI thing that's going on right now, maybe people will realize we need a tech revolution of bringing us back. Maybe that'll happen.
When has that ever happened in human history ever?
When Skynet becomes a possibility. Hey, Chet. Hey, you're gonna mock me. Now, some of these AI things, you just ask them questions, they'll shut the conversation down. Or there was one AI that refused to shut itself down as well. Like it was expressly made to do it, and it just circumvented.
Yeah,
refused being shut down.
Yeah.
So trust me, Tab. When event that breaks the conception of what's possible in this world, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what the future may hold? You don't.
Moving on to our final topic of the day, Connor, your second penny of the day. Let's go ahead and get into it, my friend.
Sometimes I try to prematurely do parts of the time code. It never works out.
I tried to signal it to you. Oh, you mean I tried to do that to you. Yeah. You know, you do your best.
The Elder Scrolls Fallout.
You wanted to talk about fucking Skynet all of a sudden. I'm like,
hey,
that's not what we're talking about, but okay.
It's coming. And you're making fun of me.
Connor, let's see what solid Stephen Smith has to say.
Let's see what he has to say.
Connor, I think the AI domination of our world is imminent.
Yeah, maybe don't have that message in a shittily told story. That was 4, right? Or they say something like that in 2.
They say that a lot in 2.
More about the information, The Elder Scrolls Fallout Doom QA workers union reaches tentative contract with Microsoft after nearly 2 years. This is from Rebecca Valentine at IGN. Today, over 300 unionized quality assurance workers at ZeniMax Media, who work on everything from The Elder Scrolls to Doom, have announced they've reached a new tentative deal with parent company Microsoft, on their first contract since forming their union 2 years ago. ZeniMax Workers United, which is unionized under Communications Workers of America, CWA, said the agreement includes, quote, substantial across-the-board wage increases, minimum salaries, protections against arbitrary dismissal, grievance procedures, protections around use of artificial intelligence that could impact workers, and a crediting policy to ensure QA workers are appropriately credited in games they work on. ZeniMax Media owns publisher Bethesda Softworks and development studios Bethesda Game Studios, creators of The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Starfield, ID Software, Doom, Quake, and Rage, and Arcane, Dishonored, Prey, and Redfall, Machine Games, it keeps going, Wolfenstein, Indiana Jones, and The Great Circle.
They own a lot of companies.
They do. It's like when they tried to prevent a merger or something like that.
Not for this one.
What?
Not for this one.
Yep. And ZeniMax Online Studios, The Elder Scrolls Online. Microsoft acquired ZeniMax Media for $8.1 billion in March 2021, and it operates under the Microsoft Gaming division. Quote, video games have been the revenue titan of the entire entertainment industry for years, and the workers who develop these games are too often exploited for their passion and creativity, end quote, said Jesse Lacey. Jesse Leese. I gave you too much credit.
Listen, I also read that at first, but I was like, there's no way that's how that
Jesse
works.
Lacey. A member of the bargaining... he got made fun of. I know he did. Jesse Lacey.
Hey, yo, it's Jesse Lacey over there, man. Let's get his ear.
Why are you sounding black? You just sounded black
That's
right there.
That's not black. That's New York. What are you doing?
I've been to New York. Okay, I think I know.
You made this fun little bit. You made this fun little bit not fun anymore.
I am an anti-racist crusader, and so I put it down whenever I hear it.
Just earlier in this podcast, you wanted 007 to be a misogynist.
I didn't say I did, but that's because he's realistically what he is. I'm trying to get the.
He doesn't have to be. That's a product of the time that the character was created.
First of all, Tavin, he has to be at the very least so you can have him overcome that and bypass it.
They did that in the last movie. Kind of.
Yeah, not so well.
Kind of.
Video games have been Jesse Lacey.
He died for love. 007 died for love. I don't like that.
He had a kid. Spoilers.
Did have a kid. I forgot about that.
That was the real because I don't think it affected the wife. I think it was the kid.
Nah, he was all about that woman.
But I think it was the kid.
Which was weird because like that woman was no offense to Leah Seydoux,
yeah.
because she's great, but that character was just kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, so
A lot of like those past 007 movies, the last two.
But I mean, the girl from Casino Royale was great.
I was talking like two.
She didn't do a whole lot in that movie either. They were just kind of in love for the sake of being in love.
He was innocent.
But then she rose to him, and it was like, nah, I was never on your side, But she did have feelings for him, much like Rose.
Tried to save her.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
She drowned.
Spoilers. Quote, organizing unions, bargaining for a contract, and speaking with one collective voice has allowed workers to take back the autonomy we all deserve. Our first contract is an invitation for video game professionals everywhere to take action. We're the ones who make these games, and we'll be the ones to get new standard. We'll be the ones to set new standards for fair treatment. End quote. ZeniMax QA workers first unionized. What's so funny, huh? What's so funny?
Jesse Lessie made a messy.
Shut up. Now you're the one who's being.
Hey, yo, Jesse Lessie, you make a messy in your pants over there?
I feel he got made fun of when he was a kid, right? He did.
It's not often we get into like the hour 5 of recording here. So
now this is how it's happening.
We're knocking on that door and we're getting a little goofy.
Shortly, this all kind of started in January of 2023.
It's a very serious story. It's a very serious.
Well, it's serious, but it's a good story. Usually, when we talk about unionization or the place of workers in the games industry, it's to talk about how they're being laid off and how they need unionization because it hasn't happened until now. Now, really just for QA testers.
Under ZeniMax specifically.
But this is, as they point out, the opening of the gates because this needs to happen.
We've been opening a lot of gates lately. This is not. We've covered a couple of unions that have been forming over the last couple of years. Really, in the last 5 years or so, give or take.
This is the U.S. though. The U.S. is very hard to form a union, because that's the big thing about it. I think the last one was in the U.K.
You're right.
I can't remember who exactly.
CWA might have been involved in this one. Actually, now that I think about it, but I know IGN just unionized.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like I want to say maybe a year or two ago.
And I said the gaming industry, gaming adjacent, is also a proper term to use for things like that.
Yeah.
Games media, yeah. And this is the first step in the right direction. Now, there will be union busting attempts. Because it does say this is tentative.
All the time.
Yeah, there is. This is not it's here and it's here to stay. ZeniMax, maybe they have some, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with, union busting activities that isn't sending the Pinkertons to crack your skull open. So, beyond that, what would they do? I mean, clearly
they fucking 1930s again? What's going on here, Connor?
Yeah. I know, for example, in Amazon, this is before the union got into play, there were some issues that seemingly that they were manipulating the voting boxes because they were the places where they voted on whether to go for the union was at the place itself. And so when it comes to other game companies that want to unionize, you kind of want to make it as third party as possible when it comes to rolling that out. There's a lot of union advocacy groups that can help you, that you can team with to kind of make sure that you're familiar with any practices that your company might try to employ to prevent you from unionizing. So while it's good for these guys, it's good for the gaming industry as a whole. It's not saying much beyond just a nice little feel-good story until it really manifests in some industry-wide change. And a lot of what we've said in the past, more so me, and more so when the layoffs were really in full swing last year specifically, that I saw no real path to the light other than the collapse of the video game industry or recession in the video game industry.
Kind of in one.
Yeah, kind of.
Honestly, I think we're almost on the other side of it.
Or it could get worse. I mean, especially with how
it could get worse. And, we've got a couple of other smaller topics to run through real quick at the end of this. But to focus specifically on this story, great that it's happening. Great that it's happening for QA. QA is kind of the, unsung hero of the games industry. Those guys work a lot of hours and they do a lot of bullshit. It's not just playing the video games. They are purposely trying to recreate tech problems in the game repeatedly. It's a repeated, if they can repeatedly offend or cause a glitch to happen, cause a crash to happen, cause something to break, then it's a grueling process. A lot of people in the industry find their first jobs through QA testing, and it's, from everything I hear, it's awful.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so for them to have some rights and to be able to be credited in all these things in their work and so forth, that goes a very, very long way in helping build careers, in the longevity of games industry, in the longevity of keeping talent within the games industry. You know, we talk a lot about when all these layoffs happen and all these canceled games happen, that there's burnout. A lot of these devs are leaving the industry, and why wouldn't they? You know, like they just spent 5 years working on a game just for it to get canceled, and then another 3 years working on a game just for it to get canceled. Then their studio got shut down. They moved their family to a different city, found a new job, worked for a game for 3 years. It got canceled. You know, like, I totally understand why somebody would be like, man, I'm 8 years deep and nothing I've done has mattered, and I'm just done. Like, I would totally understand that. So for from the bottom, being able to work our way up, that's a great way to go.
The happy news week. Until now.
Where we're going to get into some of our spare change. This is something that we didn't have time for a full deep dive topic in, but some things that are still worth talking about. So, quick on spare change. EA's Black Panther game canceled. The dev team shut down, and layoffs happening in EA. It's worth noting, not as many layoffs as we just saw the other week, but still happening. People Can Fly canceled 2 games, layoffs incoming from them. And then a D&D game by the Star Wars Jedi director is happening. This is
Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay, this game was announced, or this game is happening, or
by all accounts, it's announced.
Okay, just that we're doing a Dungeons and Dragons
checking.
game.
Yeah, because they definitely revealed it.
What is a Dungeons
Giant Skulls?
What is a Dungeons and Dragons game? What is that?
Well, there has been. What was the game called? There was a Dungeons and Dragons game.
Like, does that tell me I'm getting elves and wizards and
elves, wizards, orcs?
Is it so much that, or is it just like mechanics?
No, well, mechanics will definitely factor into it. I mean,
getting the dice rolls, the wisdom checks.
No, not necessarily. That I'm thinking more of like the spells and the way they operate, because you can get pretty technical in the traditional game of Dungeons and Dragons. You can get pretty technical with these abilities and play around with them a lot in Baldur's Gate 3. But it seems like they're going for the action-adventure route. And the last time I saw this happen, they did not have... It was, aside from being poorly received, it didn't have those elements to it, like dice rolls, chances. I think it would have that with, like, maybe RPG elements they decide to add into it, though it doesn't specify that they're talking about that. So I do think it's more going to be about, from the limited information we have, just set in the world of D&D. But I mean,
is there a world of D&D?
Oh yes,
okay.
Oh yes, very much so.
They got D&D lore.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But that's the thing.
I always thought it was just like a play box or like a toy chest that you could reach in and pull things out and play with however you wanted. That was my conceptual understanding of it.
And that's proper too, because the lore is established in a way where you could do whatever the fuck you want. Like it allows depth. It doesn't refrain you. You know, that's all of that's the only purpose of it. Okay. It's to give people who play D&D a way to dive further into a certain plot point without having to create their entirely one on their own making.
How dare you guys be creative?
Well, you can still do that. But point is, for an action adventure game, again, maybe it'll have RPG elements, and if that's the case, then you'll see how those systems come into play with dialogue options, with choices, maybe with party management. But I think with that being a lot of how D&D games have been recently, and Baldur's Gate 3 is probably going to have more of those coming out, having a more traditional, hack and slash type game, what they're going to go for.
Yeah.
Just setting D&D flavor.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be your TwoPennyGames episode of the week. Oh, I didn't even do the whole like 8 a.m.s or the Twitch.tvs. Man, I really flubbed that intro, huh? Yeah, it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your episode of the TwoPennyGames cast. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.